Hey guys, Scott here. I was just browsing Reddit because I'm stupid, and I saw this post that said they were not allowing stretch res stuff anymore, and it kind of just brought up the thought of the whole stretch res debate in my head again. And I was just laying in bed thinking about classifying cheating in this game because, in my opinion, using stretch res is absolutely cheating. But I tried like assigning a definition to cheating in this game, and it was really hard to pin it to stretch res. So I just want to like go over my thought process here. Because, if you think about like using, external modifications to gain an advantage in the game, well, like to me, cheating is using an external program to gain an advantage in the game. Because like, external modifications are things like, tweaking your brightness or your, field of view or your FPS or things like that. And some of those are way worse than others. But to me, like actual cheating is using cheat engine or a program to fucking fly around in the match and stuff like that. That's cheating. But the definition I use is an external program to gain some type of advantage that's not intended or something like that, well, then people just bring up Survive with Friends and using Discord and stuff. But let me tackle that part first, because despite the fact the devs have literally said that's not cheating, so that I don't even have to talk anymore, because cheating is what is determined by the devs, right? They are the ultimate arbiters of what is a cheat in this game. For the people that do say using Discord and Survive with Friends is cheating, I have to ask, what is going through your head? Do you actually think that there's a way that you can regulate people talking to each other? Any game that has a team component, the default state of things is that you can talk to your teammates. Even if it's not embedded in the game, you can't police that. It's impossible. So whenever you have a team in a game, you have to assume that it's okay for them to talk to each other because it's impossible to stop. You can't detect their microphones and mute it. They'll just use a different input. You can't detect Discord. They'll just use Skype. If you detect Skype, they'll just fucking call each other on the phone. You can't stop it. It's impossible. Even if you delete Survive with Friends in general, people were still Survive with Friendsing before it even existed because they would Q-snipe each other and still talk to each other. So people that say that is cheating, I think that's ridiculous because it's the default state of things. You can always talk to your teammates in a game that has teams. That's just how games in existence work. There's no getting around that. So that's the default state of things. That's why that's not cheating, because it's unavoidable. But back to actual stretch res, okay, then what if we say, modifying the engine to give yourself an advantage? But then even then, if you do that, well, then you could, if you're viewing this black and white, you can say, well, then, uncapping your frame rate. That's modifying the engine to give you some type of advantage, right? But the thing with that is, it's not really giving you an advantage. Probably the amount of times that having 120 FPS over 60 FPS has resulted in someone getting a down or something like that, that has probably happened 0 times ever in the history of this game. That's just simply, we're talking about fractions of a fraction of a second of reaction time that you could count on one finger, probably the amount of times that has actually resulted in someone getting an advantage, other than, it just looks better. So I think if we view that black and white, it's not going to work. But if you look at it realistically, no, higher FPS does not give you an advantage. It just looks better. But the thing is, now there are people that say that about stretch res. They say, well, they just do it because it looks better. First of all, they're just lying. People that play this game in a 1-by-1 ratio, they're just full of shit if they're saying that it looks better. It just objectively doesn't look better. Now, there are people that actually, it's not just stretch, they actually modify the game itself to still present in a normal resolution, but their FOV is modified. And that is just hyper cheating. That is not even, there's no argument that's completely cheating. I'm just focused on stretch res now, not the actual modifications of the FOV of the game, because that is indisputably cheating. But the actual stretch res part, it's still hard to pin a definition of what makes it cheating, but it still is. It's just almost universally accepted to be it. And I tried thinking about a definition that I could come up with for a while, because it doesn't really fit anything in a black and white way. So I don't think there is a black and white way to do it. It's colloquially known to be a very large advantage. If you guys have never seen what it does, by the way, it just lets you just see over loops like this. So normally you would be able to see probably about up to here, and you would not be able to see exactly where the pig is in this loop. And that's what makes it such a huge advantage. Now, to its credit, half the time stretch res does nothing. It doesn't even give you an advantage, because sometimes you're on an indoor map or the loop has walls that are so tall that it doesn't even matter. You still can't see over it. But a non-significant amount of loops are like this in which you absolutely gain an advantage, and that's what, in my opinion, makes it cheating. Thing is, though, at the end of the day, I don't actually care. Because as far as we know, it's not something that the devs have said is not allowed. So we have to assume it's a legal thing, because they would have kind of commented on this by now. So if it's something that's allowed, you can't expect competitive players to not use every advantage at their disposal. If you expect that, now kind of you're being an asshole, because why would a competitive player not use everything in their advantage to win? Now, it becomes muddied when they're doing this in public matches and stuff like that, because now it's not a competitive setting, and now you just got a cringy sweat lord that's playing one-to-one on it. Then it doesn't really hold up as well. But in tournaments and stuff like that, if it's allowed, you have to expect that they're going to do it, because it's allowed, it's legal, and it gives them an advantage. So the people that do that, and they accept that it gives them an advantage, especially in tournaments and things like that, I don't even have a problem with them. You know, because they're admitting that they're using something that gives them an advantage. Fine, it's not illegal. For some reason, I don't know why it's allowed. I don't know why the devs have not said it's not allowed. But that's not my role. I don't get to declare that. That's the devs that declare that. So as long as it's allowed, I'm not going to give shit to people that do it. I might poke fun at them because it looks fucking stupid. But, you know, at the end of the day, I get it. The only problem that I have with people that use it are the ones that lie about it. The ones that say that they're just doing it because it looks better, or it doesn't give you a huge advantage, or, you know, it makes my game run better, or something like that. If you ever hear someone saying either of those things, they're just straight up lying to you. They're just trying to justify themselves cheating. That's all that is. There's no argument to be had. If they're saying it looks better, first of all, it doesn't look like this. It looks like stretched. It's stretch res. That's what it is. It looks like garbage. If you've ever seen a stream of someone that's streaming on 1x1, it just looks fucking stupid. So it does not look better under any circumstance. Even people that run, like, you know, slightly stretched, like, you know, 1680 or whatever by, like, you know, 1080, it's not quite 16:9. Like, you know, I don't think that's even that big of a problem, because it gives just a tiny, tiny advantage. I'm talking about the people that do, like, the 1x1, like 1024 by 1024 resolution. That's when you get this type of stuff where you can see over a lot of loops. And this also doesn't make your... Look, if you're worried about game performance, run the game at 1280 by 720. It's actually less pixels on the screen than 1024 by 1024, so that argument's horseshit too. It's just people lying to justify cheating. That's really all it is. But at the end of the day, like I said, if they admit that it's an advantage, and they, you know, they tell you that it's not banned or anything like that, well, now you don't really have an argument against it. So really my only problem is with people that try to justify it. That's it. If you're not justifying it and you accept that it's an advantage, whatever. I think it's kind of shitty, but I just don't care enough to go on a crusade against it, you know? Like I said, I'll poke fun at you for doing it, for, you know, being that fucking sweaty in Dead by Daylight of all games in pub matches. Even if you do it in comp matches, I'm not even going to make fun of you. But if you're doing that in, like, pub matches, yes, I'm probably going to make fun of you, because the amount of sweat, the fact that you're trying so hard to claw every advantage out of this ridiculously broken game is just, I don't know. I can't help but laugh at that. It's something to make fun of. But at the end of the day, it's not a big enough of a deal for me to go on a crusade about it and, you know, petition the devs to really remove it. I just don't care enough. Yeah, I guess that's it for this time. I'm sure we'll talk about this again in 6 months when something else happens with it. But that's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.